morning and welcome to Morning Movie News. I'm excited to say I have some new Star Wars casting rumors for you today that seem to be somewhat legitimate. Now, as we all have been discussing here, Benedict Cumberbatch is supposedly in the mix for JJ Abrams' new Star Wars trilogy. And his name isn't going away. And the new details are that he's going to play a character that spans the whole trilogy. I mean, I think most characters would span the whole trilogy. But while it'll have a small part in the first new film, Episode 7, it'll get bigger as the trilogy continues. And as we all know, as I've discussed here already, I have my doubts about Benedict Cumberbatch in the role. I think he's already too well known. And it becomes less of a Star Wars movie than Benedict Cumberbatch with a lightsaber. He better have a lightsaber. But the newer rumor is that I'm very excited about is that Saoirse Ronan is reading for the lead role. Saoirse Ronan's on everyone's hot list, and this would certainly, reward her for turning down Scarlet Witch for Joss Whedon. I think that anyone would rather be the lead of the new Star Wars films than, the potentially unaccepted version of Wanda Maximoff over in, Avengers 2 from Joss Whedon. So I think this is very interesting. And not only is it interesting that Saoirse Ronan is up for this, and that she's on everyone's hot list despite having a very poor box office track record. She can do action. She was very good in Hannah. I liked Hannah a lot as a movie. I felt it lost its way towards the end a little bit, but it was a very good movie and she was very good in it. But nobody really went to see it. It was kind of like Drive. I guess to some degree, Saoirse Ronan is the female version of Ryan Gosling. Maybe not totally, and even when they put her in The Host recently, she just was unable to bring in a lot of box office. So I think that she's an interesting choice, but I think that while her box office numbers are poor, I feel she's a more legitimate choice, and it would be good for JJ Abrams not to just go for the latest ingenue of the moment. To get a good actress that the fan community likes and who can bring some seriousness to the movie. But the other big thing to think about here is that these new Star Wars movies are going to have a female lead, apparently. I think that's fascinating. We have Jennifer Lawrence in The Hunger Games, and I think she's the most successful female lead since Ripley, Sigourney Weaver, all the way back in the Alien movies. It's very hard to sell a female lead in these big action films. To some degree, it's Star Wars, as we've been also talking about here. Who's not going to see Star Wars? But it would be really fascinating to see how this plays with the fan base, if it wins over new fans, because I think that a lot of women obviously love Star Wars, but I don't think that the female fans have as much fervor as some as the male fans. But to create kind of almost like I hope she's not as bratty as Korra, but it's almost the same as what they did with Legend of Korra, building off of the original Avatar: The Last Airbender series, to switch the gender of your lead protagonist and turn everything on its head. So I think that's fascinating, and I wonder if she's going to be a different character or related to any of the original characters. I could see Saoirse Ronan being Han Solo and Princess Leia's daughter, but I could also see her being Luke Skywalker's daughter. I guess that would make her related to the Skywalkers either way, right? So, but I'm excited for this. I do think she'd be a good choice, and Saoirse Ronan, Benedict Cumberbatch Star Wars really starts to paint a picture, don't you think, about what we're going to be getting. I'm very curious. This is interesting. So that's the first story of the day. The second story is that I don't think that Bryan Cranston is going to be Lex Luthor, because he just signed a deal to play famous screenwriter Dalton Trumbo. And so it's going to be filming right away pretty much, or very soon. So unless he can film it really quick before they start a Batman Superman, I just don't think it sounds like he's going to. He might not even have been offered the role. I'm not saying he turned down Lex Luthor, but I think that maybe he got tired of sitting by his phone waiting for Kevin Tsujihara to do the obvious and ask him to play Lex Luthor. And maybe that's not the direction that the Man of Steel sequel wants to go into. Either way, I think this kind of almost says for sure that Cranston will be otherwise occupied. So what's Trumbo about? It's going to be directed by Jay Roach, who of course is famous for doing the Austin Powers movies, but has found some legitimacy with his political HBO films. And so Dalton Trumbo at his time was the highest paid screenwriter working in Hollywood, who got called before the House of Un-American Activities when they had the big communist scare in Hollywood. And he refused to answer questions, because also not only do they try and get you to admit you are a communist, but to out other people in exchange for getting off the hook yourself. So he went to jail for refusing to answer questions. And then when he got out, he had to write under pseudonyms. And he actually won 2 Oscars under fake names. And this whole, his standing up to the House of Un-American Activities in Washington, D.C. in general, for Hollywood and his colleagues, it cost him a lot personally and professionally. So it'll be interesting. It's an interesting role for Cranston to take. I would have liked to see him take something a little more genre-y, but I guess he is in the new upcoming Godzilla movie. So I think that taking a film like Trumbo will keep him, with his artistic street cred that I think he has so much from Breaking Bad. Because not only is he a fantastic character on that show, which does have genre elements, but it's an extremely well acted show, and I think that's very obvious. All right, so those are the first two stories of the day. The third is that there's a rumor that Marvel Studios is developing an Agent Carter television show. Agent Carter is a short film that's been released on the internet, clips from it, and it's going to be on the Iron Man 3 Blu-ray and DVD. Or I guess the special DVD. I'm not sure. But if they want to make a TV show out of it, I'm sure they want everyone to see it. And it's being likened to how Item 47 on the Avengers 2 DVD, that short film about these two people who find one of those alien guns, led into the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series, that this short with Agent Carter will lead into kind of like a Mad Men-y spy series that they want to develop over at Marvel. I have mixed feelings about this. I really liked Haley Atwell in the original Captain America film. I really wanted her to come back and play Sharon Carter because she's a relative of Peggy Carter and Sharon Carter are related, so why not? Why not just dye Haley Atwell's hair blonde? I would have much preferred that, actually. But I guess this is... And also, Haley Atwell isn't necessarily signed on for this. They could recast it, but I think that would be ridiculous and a no-go for Marvel Studios because I think one of the things that makes S.H.I.E.L.D., one of the only things that makes Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So exciting is that Clark Gregg is in it. If it was just all new people, I think that I would have a lot less interest in it. But again, I don't know is this going to lead to, if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does well, is this going to lead to a huge amount of comic book properties on your television as well? We already have some, I guess, but I don't know if I want capes on television and movies at the same time. Unless there's like an interesting angle. And I guess these are interesting angles. You have spies in both ones. You have modern day spies in S.H.I.E.L.D. and you'll have World War II era spies in Agent Carter. But I guess I'll have to see the short to see how I feel about it. But I think it's interesting, and I would definitely try it out, though. If it had good production values and it was interesting, I would definitely be into it. But I have to say, though, so far from what I'm seeing, I don't see great production values on these television shows. Even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., from what I've seen, it's very networky, very network television. And I feel that if network television wants to stay competitive with cable television, they need to become a little more artistic in their work. So those are the three stories for the day. The question is actually another Wonder Woman question, the viewer question, because I thought it was a fun question and I wanted to answer it. And it's from J.R. Rollins84, who says, "Love your show." Thanks, J.R. It says, "Do you think that Wonder Woman should have a Greek or other foreign accent since she is from another country? Themyscira, which is like the island where the Amazons live." Yes! I think that it's so important that Wonder Woman is, she's supposed to be a visitor to America. She's supposed to be someone like an outsider, so she's almost like an unbiased judge about what she thinks the right and wrongs are of man's world. But I think it would be wonderful for her to have an accent. But you're also talking to the person who thinks that Paddington Bear should have a South American accent because he's from Peru. I think it's ridiculous that he has a British accent. It makes no sense to me. And I really, as I say all the time here, I think that diversity is so important in film, especially as we get more and more of a global market. And I think it would be wonderful. Maybe even find a foreign actress. I loved the work that was done by the actress. I can't remember her name off the top of my head at this moment. Who played Faora in Man of Steel. I think it's like Ante something. She's a German actress, and she was so phenomenal in that movie. I wish she could play Wonder Woman. She would be an amazing Wonder Woman, but she's already Faora, so hopefully Faora will come back. And she's actually they had an ad in the upcoming Superman Wonder Woman comic. They had a illustrated version of her for that comic book. So if they're putting her in that comic, I have hope that she's going to stay in the DC cinematic universe. But yeah, I would be all for that. And I would, I haven't even thought about bringing in foreign talent to play Wonder Woman. And I think that could potentially be an amazing idea. You all know, you saw my Rush review. I'm just absolutely I have fallen in love with Daniel Bruhl at first sight on his acting job in Rush. So I'm all for it, and I think it would be really great, and it would, make Wonder Woman stand out even more, and perhaps add to her equal status setting. I don't want her just to seem like another person who saw what Batman and Superman were doing and was like, "Oh, I want to play too, boys." I would like her just to be playing on her own and doing her own thing. So, and Wonder Woman doesn't play. That's the whole point. There's a famous thing. They go, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are Batman is the policeman, Superman is the fireman, and Wonder Woman is the teacher. And I'm always like, no, that's the whole problem with the way Wonder Woman is depicted. She's not the teacher. Wonder Woman is the soldier. You have the fireman, the policeman, and the soldier. And I think that's crucial, and I don't understand why it's so hard for this, although I know some people at DC and they said that even within the company, there are huge disagreements about how to interpret the Wonder Woman character. So that's today's morning movie news. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to write below your thoughts on today's stories and any questions you might have for tomorrow and any stories you'd like to see covered. Bye.